Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. What do we do?
We give the people what they want.
Jalen Rose. Wednesday night, 4 fans were kicked out of Fenway Park because they unfurled a gigantic anti-racism banner. You saw it. We all saw it on the Green Monster. There's a huge banner that went down that says, "Racism is as American as baseball." I cannot lie. When I first saw the banner, I read it as a pro-racism banner. What? If you are going to spend the time to break the law and unveil a huge, gigantic anti-racism banner, don't you think you should make your message a little bit clearer?
And that's where we hit a fork in the road, because for me, it was distinct. It was clear. The only thing that was missing was an exclamation point. I knew exactly what they were trying to get accomplished. I appreciated the effort of bringing awareness to the baseball game, the Green Monster, a stage that now we're discussing it. And I was not confused at all by their message.
Not even for 1 second. You never looked at it for 1 second where it's like, oh, wait a second. What does that say? What are they trying to get across?
Nope.
Not at all, because there's a lot of symbolism in a lot of things that get said and or slogans. So for me, I always think about when people talk about baseball being America's pastime, that's the reference that they were referring to. When you say, make America great again, things like that, I understand what that means subliminally and for the audience of people that are trying to be attracted by that.
I just feel like if you're going to spend the time to make a huge banner, to make a huge statement, you should make your statement more clear, because I was confused by it. I had to read up on it and figure out that it was an anti-racism banner. I'm not pro-racism. No one's pro-racism around here. We are all anti-racism, but I just feel like you should make your message a little clearer. That's all I have to say. If I was going to make the banner, it would just say, like, anti-racism on it. It would be very clear. So the pictures, so everyone would understand exactly what I was trying to do. Next.
But also, what about this? Do you think that deserves to be ejected from the game?
Well, they were sort of ejected. I think you cannot make it okay for people to unfurl gigantic politically charged banners on top of your stadium. I understand that, but they were actually not punished. Our research staff here, i.e. our producer Harlan, shout out to you, read the whole article, because you know me and you would just read the headlines, and they were not truly punished. They were not arrested. There was no true legal ramifications, and they were not banned from the ballpark or anything like that. Next, we have this. At the Code Conference in New York, Adam Silver was talking about NBA presentation and the new generation and appealing to millennials and Generation Z and everything that everyone's trying to do now. And he said that the antiquated way that we are presenting basketball games to a television audience needs to change, and that it should look more like video games on Twitch. What? I know we're talking about the commissioner and that can get you in trouble, but I have a simple question. Is that a failed test?
I think so.
I think so, too. I think he's like, guys, I got an idea. You know how the video games are trying to look like basketball games? What if the basketball games looked like video games? It's like, stay in your lane, Adam Silver. Like,
see LeBron James in cartoon.
Yeah, like, you're
going
a lawyer.
Down the paint looking like the Incredible Hulk.
You work on the collective bargaining agreement. You suspend players. You do that. Like, let's let the television producers produce a television over here, okay? Like, come on, man. That's a failed test, Adam Silver. I understand what he's trying to say. Like, I think it would be cool if you could watch live the same game with your friend across the country and have running commentary and more information on the screen. Like, I think what he's saying at his core is, like, I understand it, and I think he is correct. But saying that you need NBA games to look like video games, just that's a failed test, Adam Silver. Big fight this weekend. I'm extremely excited about Triple G facing Canelo. It will be a real fight, one of the biggest boxing matches of the past few years for certain. It will not be the sort of show that we had with McGregor-Mayweather. But this made me really understand who was going to win this fight. While Triple G was training, he was told that his wife was delivering his child. He said this to his coach, quote, "Coach, we have a fighting coming up. The baby's going to be here whether I'm there or not. We have a fight coming up, and we're going to concentrate on the fight." That's it. Triple G's winning the fight. Triple G's winning the fight. Does this guarantee that Triple G is winning?
It guarantees that he's focused, he's disciplined, and there's a reason why there's a 0 in the loss column for him as a competitor at 35 years old. And to see both of these fighters in the ring is going to be something that's so great for sports, so great for boxing. It's not going to be the circus that we saw with Floyd and McGregor. It's truly going to be one of note. And don't be surprised, this is just the first one. There's no way they can only do this once. It's going to be that thrilling. And if I need to go on wax and say who I'm picking, I'm taking Cinnamon, the redhead, to win.
Ooh, I'm taking
Canelo.
Triple G. I think that Canelo will be a great adversary for Triple G, and that will be a great fight. But the bigger fight in his future, the fight with his wife. I know if I'd skipped my birth so I could work, my wife would be so pissed. I wouldn't even be worried about Canelo. I would be worried about her. Shout out to you, Joe Jacoby. Jalen Rose, not the biggest Selena Gomez fan, but I found this story very interesting. She received a kidney because she needed a kidney. I hope she heals as soon as possible. I wish her the best health. However, she got that kidney from a friend. If I needed a kidney, would you give me a kidney?
You my brother, but I can't commit to that.
Oh, what? See, here's my thing is I would give you a kidney, but I wouldn't bring it up. Like, if you had kidney problems, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I put my arm around you. What's the plan? Like, how are we going to do this?" You would have to specifically ask for my kidney. And then when you ask for my kidney, I'd be like, "Look, of all the kidneys out there, I'm not sure mine is the one that you want. Like, I put some miles on this kidney, you know? But I would do it for you. I just wouldn't bring it up. But I'm glad that you wouldn't even consider giving me a kidney. Thank you very much. This is
I didn't say I wouldn't consider
Yes, you said.
it.
Yes, you did.
I'm one of those medical mavens where all of that stuff makes me a little bit nervous if I'm not operating at optimal performance. And so I would strongly consider it, but I don't think I should promise that right now because you're not going to need one.
Okay. I would give you a kidney, but I would make you ask for it. This I just found fascinating.
Speaking of kidneys with miles on them.
This is fascinating.
You sure you want mine?
No, I don't. A study said that 4 of 10 Americans sleep with a teddy bear. Hit the brakes. 4 of 10 Americans sleep with a teddy bear. Staff did some research. There are about 323 million people in the United States. That means 129 million people sleep with teddy bears. There are 74 million people under 18 in the U.S. That means 56.6 million adults. Minimum of 56.6 million adults sleep with a teddy bear. Are you as concerned about this as I am? I can't believe this. This is crazy to me. I can't believe this.
I think that's a lie. I don't believe that's true.
That cannot be true.
And just because you read it in the newspaper or see it on the internet or somebody said they did the research or a poll, it doesn't make it accurate. I'm not rolling with that at all.
So let's just imagine, let's go down the hypothetical highway for a second, because you and I are very much locked into relationships. We are power coupled up right now. But if I was single, hypothetically, and I was dating somebody, and I found out that they slept with a teddy bear, I would have to seriously consider breaking up with them. I really would. Like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can see my future where it's like, all right, it's time for bed. Me and you and Snuggles, let's all go to bed now.
What about those that get in relationships and their significant other possibly have pets? So you go from not having a pet to having one plus the pet sleeping in the bed.
You know, they say
what do you think about that one?
They say there's 56 million people that sleep with teddy bears. There are so many more dudes out there pretending to love their girlfriend's pets. You don't love that dog, dude. I know you don't love that dog. You're acting like you love that dog.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Jalen Rose, your guy, Draymond Green, chimed in on the whole Kyrie Irving-Kyrie Gate thing. Here's what he had to say, quote, I'd say more than anything, it upped the respect level I have for him. That's tough to do. I don't think people take into account that he put so much pressure on himself by doing that. But the willingness to do that, knowing the pressure that comes with that, saying, I'm ready to do it, that's what stood out to me. I have a lot of questions about this. But first, is Draymond just happy that he's no longer on the Cavs?
First and foremost, he like, woo, that guy that made that right wing jumper and beat us in the NBA Finals in Game 7 ain't going to be on their squad?
Yeah, he's
the
just
guy
happy.
that LeBron could turn to the last 2 minutes and get a basketball to, and he can make a play on a big stage. Yep. But you can't overlook the fact that, in particularly last year, Isaiah Thomas was as good as it came in the fourth quarter in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So if and when he gets healthy, he's still going to be a problem, which, by the way, the Boston Celtics and Isaiah actually gave the Golden State Warriors some fits over the last couple of seasons while they were having
that's a good point.
Obviously amazing seasons. But what Draymond Green was referring to, he was actually being hypocritical.
Oh.
And not truly saying what he felt. It was more about happy that Kyrie wasn't there. I'm going to give you an example. The Golden State Warriors are affectionately known as a super team. Mm-hmm. So say Klay Thompson decides when he becomes a free agent that he don't want to be in the shadow of Steph and KD anymore. And all of a sudden, he wants to go and be the number one dude on the squad. The same wouldn't be said for him. That I respect the fact that he wants to go to be the number one guy. We would say, you leaving a chance to win chips? We already got 2.
He's leaving us. Yeah,
correct.
He's greedy.
So,
he's selfish. Yep.
For Draymond, a guy that embodies team. Like, I appreciated his game in college. He was 40 pounds heavier. He changed his body. He became a better three-point shooter. He's the glue to what allows them to play what's considered a death lineup. A guy at 6'7" that can guard 7-footers, yet lead the team in rebounds and assists. So I think it was more about Kyrie exiting stage left than the actual commentary that he gave.
What I really want to talk about is Draymond Green's LinkedIn page. The internet has unearthed a LinkedIn page that I believe is Draymond Green's. And here's what he lists as basically LinkedIn. LinkedIn is those emails you always get. It's like the one social media site that some of your friends are on, but like no one's really on. It's supposed to be for like professional networking or something. I don't have a LinkedIn page. I know you don't have a LinkedIn page, but it's basically your resume online. And here's what he said, his LinkedIn page. I played in 2 Final Fours while at Michigan State. Specialties, mid-range jump shot, working with kids. He also, here's his experience, student athlete, clerical work at the Gillespie Group, and working at Tom Izzo's camps. Come on, Draymond. You got to update the LinkedIn page. You got to.
That's that Midwest blue-collar work ethic. He like, if this NBA thing don't work out, I'm trying to get a gig. I'm getting out here early.
I want to punch it up, though. There's some grammar problems. There's some capitalization issues. Like, oh, come on, Draymond. One thing I found really interesting while I was looking at Draymond's LinkedIn page is Kyrie Irving, who he was talking about, also has a LinkedIn page. Kyrie Irving's LinkedIn page has his location as Akron area, Ohio. What? Maybe Draymond's isn't the only LinkedIn page.
He probably doesn't frequently update it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more fun if you tried to go pull up Kevin Durant's Black Planet page.
I remember Black Planet. Woo, good old days.
Shout out.
You're a guy, Odell Beckham. You've talked about him going to the club and chasing the fun and then losing the playoffs over and over and over again. Well, he hasn't been playing for the New York Giants. He wasn't playing for the New York Giants when they lost to the Cowboys. He practiced for the very first time today, ran some routes, seemed okay. But there's a report in Page 6, God, I love Page 6, that he was in a dance-off at a nightclub called Catch against Russell Westbrook. When you have an ankle injury, when you are not practicing, should you be doing a dance-off with Russell Westbrook?
A couple of things. So I've actually been disappointed at multiple people that I've seen on television talk about this topic because to me they weren't being real.
I only watch Jalen Jacoby.
That's why we have this program, because I want to take this opportunity to do such.
Cook.
There is such thing as optics, how things look and or how they could be perceived by others that aren't in your shoes. You end last season on a boat in Miami,
shirtless,
partying. Your team loses that Sunday. You have the entire off season to do whatever you like.
Mm-hmm.
When the season opens back up, unfortunately, you get injured in the preseason game. And before you even play for your team, you back out hanging at the spot. It goes from being optics to facts. And here's a fact. You injured your ankle playing football. If me and you had a show.
Okay.
And I was hanging out partying all night.
You would never do that.
And then I hit you in the morning and said, I'm not going to be able to make the show because I'm hungover. That would be considered unprofessional.
Absolutely
That's
unprofessional.
That's exactly what this is.
I would write you a very strongly worded email.
Your obligation and the reason why you are a celebrity playing in the NFL, making the kind of money you're making from your shoe contract and from the NFL, though he's underpaid, is because you're really good at playing football.
Also a good dancer.
That opens up the door for you to be at the spot, hanging out in this instance with Russell Westbrook. That's one. Two, he doesn't have a hand injury. He has an ankle injury. So if he doesn't have a teammate or somebody in his life that won't call him on that, like, homie, you already know we need you on Sunday. If you need to be at home doing extra rehab, that's what we expect you to do. Or be at home sleep. But you cannot, be at the spot, number one. I don't care what everybody keeps saying. It's his off day. He can do what he want to do. Take it from somebody that's been in the locker room. You know what players in team sports hate to talk about? The other guy. I don't care if it's Michael Jordan. I don't care if it's Magic Johnson. Especially if the other guy is always doing something that's non-football related in this instance. Everybody gets in their car at the end of an NBA game when Steph Curry misses a shot. You know what the other 14 guys tell their significant others and their families?
I was wide open. You should have passed it to me. Yeah, I was open on the other side, just like you do about the Final Four loss.
No doubt about it. And so the optics, aren't good, but it's bigger than that because it's facts. You've now bookended last season at the spot in Miami, getting it in, with this season doing the exact same thing, and you haven't played a game yet. Oh, and by the way, your team lost. The offense looked terrible, and they have my Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. Oh, man, it's going to be problems, Odell.
Jalen Rose, I love your passion. I love your commitment. I love how you articulate
your
feelings
on my fantasy
on this.
team.
But that's the only reason you're mad. You're only mad because he's on your fantasy team. You spent too much money on your fantasy team. That's what it is, Jalen Rose. Got nothing wrong with going to the spot. There's just something wrong with missing a game because of your fantasy team. Jalen Rose, Thursday Night Football. Last week we had the Chiefs and the Patriots. Me and you watched that game. It was exciting. It was surprising. This week, we've got the 0-1 Texans, who just now decided that they're going to start a rookie quarterback, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who did not score a single point last week against the Ravens. But football is football, and when it's just on the screen, guess what I'm going to do? What, Jalen Rose?
Don't believe me, just watch.
I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch it no matter what, because it's Thursday Night Football, and it's NFL, and it's week 2, and I'm very excited. What do you make of Tom 21 Savage being benched in favor of Deshaun Watson?
I think the handling of the situation is bigger than Tom Savage. Since Bill O'Brien, the offensive guru, got the head coaching job in Houston, they've had 8 or 9 different quarterbacks during that period of time, which leads the NFL. And so, based on coming into this season, in the offseason, taking first-team reps in minicamp and in preseason, this is months of work. And you decided you were going to give it to Tom Savage and bring Deshaun along at whatever pace you felt like was needed. For him to have around 30 plays and 13 pass plays, and you bench him at halftime because he was getting sacked, by the way. The Jags had a franchise-high 10 of them. 4 of them.
The Texans allowed pressure. The Texans allowed pressure on 54% of the dropbacks in week 1. So 54% of the time when you're the quarterback, there's going to be someone in your face trying to hurt you. But continue.
And so with that, when you make the change at halftime, that's more of a reflection of you not having a level of comfort with the decision that you made, more so than the actual quarterback play. And so, yes, Deshaun came in. He led him to a touchdown drive. He is the future. And I think he's finally going to be the answer at that position for that team. But I'm as disappointed with how it was handled more so than he's actually going to be a starter. And so based on that, a Houston team that's dealt with so much away from the football field, it was great to see them back out there and competing for their city. And J.J. Watt running out of the tunnel, waving the Houston's flag, waving the Texas flag high. But the Jaguars didn't care that day. And so...
No, they didn't. And I love to watch their defense. That's the thing. I felt like their quarterback play has held them back for like 3 seasons now because now that they have Clowney and Watt and Merciless, like that is a real defense. And there's a reason that this team has been at the positions they've been in to go to the playoffs last couple of years. It's because of that defense, not because of their offense.
And they have Lamar Murray in the backfield. Hopkins just got a new deal on the outside. So I agree with you. A team that has been stout defensively has been truly held back by its offense, though they made the playoffs last year. And so with all of that being said, these two teams had the worst losses of week 1 to me. We talked about Texas losing to the Jags.
That's a good point.
And the Bengals getting shut out by the Ravens. They're the only team that didn't score this weekend.
Completely shut out.
They have A.J. Green.
Completely shut out. If you really want to know about football, you should just subscribe to the Nickel Package podcast. It's a podcast 5 days a week by this great company. And I may or may not be featured on the Tuesday show with a gentleman by the name of Kian Fahi. And Kian did an interview with someone who follows the Bengals very closely. And while they do have all these different weapons in the skill positions, they have a brand new line, and that line is just not protecting their quarterback, which is what's causing all these problems.
And they have 3 backs that they like. Bernard and Hill. They drafted Mixon. The quarterback that you talked about is Andy Dalton. So, again, they have weapons. They still shouldn't be getting shut out. But with all of that being said, I'm taking the Bengals to win game 2.
Ooh, interesting. I don't know who's going to win this game. Like, I'm glad I don't bet on sports because I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. The Bengals are at home, which I think should be nice. But, Jalen, here's a stat for you. Andy Dalton had a .6 total QBR week 1. 0.6. I don't know the algorithm that creates the QBR number, but I know that 0.6 cannot be good. I don't even know if it's possible to get lower than that. It's the 3rd worst in the history of the metric since 2006.
Well, the Texans scored 7 points last week, and the Bengals scored 0. So I think playing at home, they're going to be a lot more energized. Short week. Remember when... And this is why I think NFL players should really just choose to strike.
Strike.
You remember when we respected the fact that the game was so physical that they needed a week to heal.
A week. Yep. Need a week.
You mean to tell me they play a game on Sunday and play another one on Thursday now? Is this really happening?
It's Football Sunday. Think about Football Sunday. That wasn't that long ago in my mind. Like, that was just a couple days ago. Another thing is, one thing that I do have to mention about the National Football League quickly is one of the major players who would be in this game if he wasn't in the concussion protocol, Brian Cushing. Well, guess what? He was just suspended for 10 days for performance-enhancing drugs. This was announced today, and it's not even a news story. Like, you can get suspended for 10. You could be a major player in one of the best defenses in the league. You get suspended for 10 days of performance-enhancing drugs. No one even notices. No one even notices. Not even that big a story. No one says, what did he do? When did he do it? He never came out and denied it. It's just like, it just happens so frequently that we just accept it and move on.
And it's his second offense, by the way.
Yeah. Really?
And so, again, not the most attractive game on Thursday night, but get used to this slate. Because the storied handful of franchises that the NFL continues to promote won't be facing one another on a Thursday night when you have to please League Pass on Sunday afternoon, NBC Sunday night, ESPN Monday night. They're not getting they're going to get the pick of the litter game at that point.
You know what I might be looking at? Because this game I think is going to get a little ugly. Football is just fun to watch. You know, whether it's good defense or good offense or bad offense, it's going to be fun to watch just because it's football. The Indians have won 21 straight games. They've won 21 games in a row. It's the second longest streak in the history of Major League Baseball. And they'll be playing the Royals tonight. They have shut out the Royals 6 times this season, including all 3 times the last time they faced each other. So we could be watching a team win their 22nd straight game in Major League Baseball. And then you have the Dodgers over here, which finally won after losing 16 in a row. Is the Indians' streak being undercovered by the media, including this exact show right here?
It's not being undercovered. It's a phenomenal streak that I chose to ignore because they broke it against the Tigers the last couple of games.
They're moving on to the Royals now.
I understood it was happening. And as I look across Major League Baseball, I see Upton hitting home runs, Scherzer striking out people, Granderson hitting home runs as soon as he gets to the Dodgers, playing on a contender.
Oh, this is good. The Indians winning their 21st straight game, right? The next win for the Cleveland Browns will be their 21st since the start of the 2012 season. So in the last month, the Indians have won as many games as the Browns have in the last 5 years.
Well, that says more about the Browns, and clearly is a salute to the Cleveland baseball team. And LeBron, who posted a congratulatory message to the team, he did something that
I like it.
People do and aren't conscious of that I want to point out, because if you're one of these people, don't do this.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Don't compliment somebody else while you compliment yourself at the same time.
Exactly. Come on.
Let me repeat that. Don't compliment or give dap or try to act like you're giving a shout to somebody else and compliment yourself at the same time. You can give a tribute to the Indians' 22-game win streak and not talk about the fact, I won 27 before. Yep. I know how tough it is.
I remember during my 27 win.
I want to do another video when y'all win 40.
Yeah, it doesn't. Not only did he one-up them by saying he won 27 in a row, then he brought the bar to a place where they cannot reach it intentionally. LeBron knows exactly what he's doing all the time, and I love it. You know what? I'm going the other way, Jalen. I support giving yourself a compliment when you give someone else a compliment. Good for you, LeBron James. Brian Cushing had a positive PED test in 2010, and he blamed it on, quote, overstrained athlete syndrome. I think he just made that up. I'm going to start making up syndromes from why I'm late. Jalen Rose. James Harden compared this year's Rockets team to the 2012 Thunder team that lost in the finals. In terms of talent, mix of veterans and younger guys, do you think that's a fair comparison?
I don't think it's a fair comparison because 2 of the guys that he played with in Oklahoma City have actually gone on to win league MVP in Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. James Harden, in his own right, has been second this past year and in the running for the last couple of years because he's been terrific. Chris Paul, while a future Hall of Famer, when he's at his best, bordered at all NBA status, dealt with some injuries last year and didn't make the All-Star team, are their two best players. They don't have an established all-NBA caliber third player. So that means that comparison falls short for me.
Yeah, me too. And I think that the Thunder were a completely different team, but good for James. Jalen, I want to tell you about Ben Boulware. I believe, and I might be mistaken, that we were last speaking about Ben Boulware because of some grabs to the man region that he was exercising while he was in college on the field. Well, he was picked up by the 49ers, drafted. You know, he's on the practice team. He's working his way up, being a rookie, doing rookie things that we've all seen on Hard Knocks. Well, he gave us a timeline of his morning one morning. 10:34 a.m., signed expensive lease for my new apartment. Congratulations, Ben. 11:52 a.m., picked up mom and girlfriend for the airport so they could visit for the week. 11:55 a.m., got cut. Hashtag life of the NFL. He got the lease. Mom is in town. Girlfriend's in town. And then he gets cut immediately. Is there something we can do about this, or is this just the game? This is just how the game works?
It's how the game works. And being a professional athlete, being an entertainer, a lot of people get a chance to celebrate their favorite artists or athletes. And when you're the performer, you get a chance to appreciate all that you've accomplished. What we forget is how many people truly wish that they had that opportunity, how many people practice, dream, hope, pray that they can be in the position of their favorite artist, of their favorite athlete. They come a dime a dozen. We come a dime a dozen. And so it's unfortunate that it happened for him in this light. I can't truly give him advice about what he could have done different because he's in a sport where there's non-guaranteed contracts. So therefore, that could basically happen any day to any player at any time.
So here's a good question. Is it helpful or hurtful to have mom and girlfriend there when you get cut?
Hurtful for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I want them around.
I needed some time to digest.
I love my wife and I love my mom, my two favorite ladies in the whole world. Two of my four favorite ladies in the whole entire world. But after I get cut, I think I might need some time by myself, maybe a couple adult beverages with one of my homeboys. I don't know if I need to be with mom and girlfriend right then.
No. And I say this respectfully as somebody that clearly has a girlfriend and loves his mom dearly, and I lean on both of them on and off wax for advice 24/7, 365. But the one thing about this life, you come into it alone and you leave alone. And based on that, I would just want a chance to digest how I want to approach things initially before I got feedback and then took that feedback and made that into action as opposed to everybody learning at the exact same time.
I think that's very fair.
And by the way, and you hurt. And sometimes if you hurt and you want to go in the fetal position and shed a couple of tears, you may not want nobody to see you do that.
Yeah, and another thing is I feel like my mom and my wife would want to be there for me in that time, and I wouldn't have an appropriate excuse. So then I would they'd be like, oh, how come he's not texting back? They would feel bad for me. Oh, God. I hope I never get fired from this job. We need to stop talking about topics that we shouldn't be talking about in this program. Jalen, the topic that we need to be talking about in this program is, it's close to you. One of your greatest accomplishments in your entire life. And one of the things that we all have things that we like about ourselves and things we wish we could change about ourselves. But one of the things that you are so proud of, and one of the things that's it's one of the foundations of who you are as a person. I'm not talking about your NBA career. I'm not talking about the great work you do with many charities, but especially the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. What you are most proud of about yourself, and I know you very well, your hairline. Your hair looks great. Your hair always looks great. It's no matter where you are, you get your hair cut like every 3 hours. You got a barber that travels with you. You love your hairline. It's a signature. Like we're talking about NBA signature moves later in the show. The signature move is your hairline. Do you also have a colleague who similarly is identified by their hair, not necessarily the work that they do? And that is the legendary Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper changed his hair, Jalen. Mel Kiper changed his hair. I know you saw it. It's now got a side part. He got a trim. It looks like he's using less product. It was jarring. Did you find it as jarring as I did to see Mel Kiper with new hair?
My response was the exact same as David Lloyd's. Is when you're on television, you're asking questions, you're giving analysis, you're being professional. And the producers continue to tell you how much time you have before you wrap a segment.
Yep.
And I bet the entire time he was doing exactly what I would have done, thinking about, I'm going to find a way to say something to him about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about his hair.
I know that ain't one of the questions. We're going to talk about this.
That's one thing I realized is being on the other side of the control room, being a producer and being in talent's ear. And now I'm talent, I've got someone in my ear, is you can run right through that red light. Like I forgot. It's like, you know what? Like, sure, you are in the control room and you're technically in charge and talent has to do what you say and, you're running the program. But when you're on wax, you know what? You can run right through that red light. And I'm sure that's what David Lloyd did. I'm so happy for him. And I'm happy for Mel Kiper. He looks good. Good for Mel Kiper and his hair.
Looking handsome, Mel. Always great information, too.
Would you ever consider a new hairstyle? Like, we ever going to see you with, like, a middle part or a side part? Would you ever do anything with your hairline?
2 years ago at the ESPYs, I rocked the middle part.
Oh, I remember
just to do something different for summer. But here's the one thing I want people to know. It really applies to men. Just think about the guys that you know. And over the last couple of years, how many times they've changed their hairstyle. Usually for a guy, that means he's searching for an identity and or he's unhappy. And one other thing, he follows too many fads and trends.
You know my philosophy is...
I'm sticking with the original.
Once upon a time, I had a terrible goatee. I had like a Fred Durst long goatee thing coming out the bottom of my chin. It was awful. It was disgusting. Like, I could have braided it. It was dirty. It felt bad. It was scrawny. It was just a mess. And after that, I decided that I will never, ever put myself in a position where someone can take a picture of me that I will be embarrassed of my style choices later. I try. That's what I strive for. I
said that, too, and then I showed up at the draft with a red and white suit on.
I've got some more stats about this upcoming Canelo Alvarez-Gennady Golovkin fight that I want to talk to you about. Triple G is 8 years older than Alvarez. 8 years. That's a long time. He is 35 years old. Do you think that will affect his speed in the fight?
I don't think it will affect his speed because I affectionately say that he's an animal. He's 37-0 with 33 KOs. For people who don't intimately watch boxing, this is the polar opposite of what Floyd has been able to achieve in the ring, winning 50 times and losing 0, but he did it in a total different defensive, skill-laden fashion. This guy just walks right through guys. And so I'm totally excited about this fight. He landed 40% of his punches. So he's not just out there.
40%?
No. Like, that's laser.
It's crazy.
A power puncher that lands 40% of his shots?
It's crazy.
And so this is why I like Anthony Joshua as a heavyweight also. Another subject for another day. But I think Alvarez is up for it. I truly do.
Time for Keep It Moving. If it's not worth talking about it, we keep it moving with Method Man. If it is worth talking about, we hit the brakes and discuss it. According to Zach Lowe,
get low.
The Cavaliers are redesigning their offense to optimize Kevin Love. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes.
Quote from Tyronn Lue is Kevin is going to have the best year that he's had here. He's talking about Kevin, comparing him to Bosh in Miami and other All-Stars. What do you think about Kevin Love being optimized this year by the Cleveland Cavaliers?
It's just a function of progression. Oh, and by the way, their third All-Star, Isaiah Thomas, ain't going to be healthy for the first couple of months. Nope. Who else they going to get a ball to?
That's a good point.
It's only right.
It's a good point.
I mean, that's not breaking news. Kyrie's gone. Isaiah's going to be out. He's their other All-Star besides LeBron. And he did have a terrific season. He gets overlooked in the dynamic of players who can make the three, still rebound his position. I think play on the post. I think people are going to start to appreciate his game as a Cleveland Cavalier a lot more at the start of this season.
I think so, too. And I also think that without Kyrie and Isaiah Thomas, it will be good to kind of get him going. One thing that they do in big playoff games, they try to give him the ball early. They try to get him going. Like, you can almost see LeBron being like, you know what? We got to give this possession to Kevin Love. We got. Okay, Kevin, here you go. You can have it in the post to take two dribbles, do a right-hand jump hook, or you're going to go over your right shoulder with the little turnaround. He does the same two post moves in every single possession, and I can't be mad because they're the exact same two post moves that I have as well.
It's really simple. I always figure why more players don't do that. Go to the middle with your strong hand or create a counter.
Yeah. In a new book, Tom Brady says that Friday at 6 a.m. was his secret time. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes.
In his early years with the Patriots, Brady said that he had one-on-one time with his former strength and conditioning coach because only at Friday at 6 a.m. was the only time when it was just for him. And he used to do this one-on-one training, footwork drills, and speed works to close the gap between him and his teammates. Are you tired of hearing about how hard Tom Brady works? Because I am.
Yeah. It just, as you become 40 years old, win 5 championships, everything you've ever said, done, eaten has become urban legend.
You know, Friday at 6 a.m. is also my secret time. That's when I get my Ted Cruz on. Moving on. Josh Gordon hopes to return to the NFL soon. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Keep it moving. Got to see him in uniform.
The Cleveland broadcasters were suggesting...
Habitual medicinal.
The Cleveland broadcasters were suggesting that the Tigers intentionally injured an umpire. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Keep it moving. We only talk about baseball when it's a fight.
Or a record-breaking streak by the Cleveland Indians that we did almost a full segment on. An anti-NFL billboard is going to appear near the Chargers' home stadium. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes.
A digital billboard near the StubHub Center in Los Angeles will display 5 anti-NFL messages for the next 3 weeks thanks to the efforts of a scorned Chargers fan who was upset his favorite team relocated to San Diego. Joseph McCray raised over $10,000 with an online fundraiser, and he said, quote, "This isn't just for San Diego fans. This is for Oakland fans and St. Louis fans as well. Your cities didn't deserve this, and most importantly, you didn't deserve this." Is this just a salty fan, or is this worth doing?
Well, as somebody that's been affiliated with putting up a couple of billboards, $10,000 in L.A., it ain't going to be up long.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Also, I feel like you got to put the money up yourself. You can't just start a GoFundMe page. If you're going to put a billboard up and, be mad at the NFL, don't come with your hand out. Put your own money up, Joseph. NBA alternate Nike jerseys have leaked through a video game. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Keep it moving. Looking forward to seeing them.
David Johnson is having surgery on Thursday. Keep it moving or hit the brakes?
Hit the brakes.
Cardinals running back David Johnson is undergoing wrist surgery today. Bruce Arenas said this week the Cardinals expect him back sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas. At that point, will the Cardinals' season even matter anymore?
It won't matter as it relates to the playoff hunt, but also, and we talked about it on this program, how basically the NBA has taken the baton from the NFL in so many different categories, and I think it's just become more popular for all of the right reasons. I had you hit the brakes because David Johnson is a perfect example. Here's a person, a terrific back last year who came out of nowhere in a lot of people's eyes. Yep. Now you start this season, when fantasy hits, he's the #1 overall pick for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
including Le'Veon Bell. But if he walked down the street, people wouldn't know who he was. And, by the way, he probably makes $600,000 a year to play football. So I'm rooting for him to get back healthy so he can get his bread.
Shout out.
Stephon Marbury says he's mounting an NBA comeback. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I'm happy for Starberry, but keep it moving.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
I think he can still play in the league.
You think so?
What? I do.
I just like seeing him at the ESPYs, and he just seemed really happy to see you. That made me happy. He gave you a huge smile, gave you a salute.
Steph has this one move.
Great. Were you on the Knicks?
Yes, absolutely. When he showed up with that tattoo on his head, I was like, we done. Like, it's going to be a long year.
We be moving, you know, we keep it moving.
Like, oh no. We ain't making the playoffs. Like,
I appreciate how he reinvented himself personally and professionally, and, you know, that's my brother.
Mm-hmm. Alex Smith said he expects to be on a new team next year. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
What? Hit the brakes.
It's the end of his contract. They just drafted Mahomes. Looks like they're grooming him to be the successor. Alex Smith said, I expect to be on another team next year. So someone who works in the sports media business, I have to say this. Alex, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just beat the Patriots. The fans don't want to hear this. Your teammates don't want to hear this. Let the business part take care of the business part. Take care of the football part now. I understand optics and media and how things are handled and how fans react. You understand the locker room. From my side, from the media fan side, this doesn't look good. How's it look from the locker room side?
To me, from both sides, not only was he speaking honestly because this is why you draft Mahomes when you do, because you want him to be the successor. It's clear in a salary cap driven sport you're now not going to give Alex Smith a long-term deal that pays him the kind of money that starting quarterbacks get nowadays. If you're going to make this statement, this is the time that you make it.
Really?
Because you want fans to be like, we need to keep that guy. He's doing pretty good. He just looked like Tom Brady against Tom Brady and beat him last week.
Yep. He sure did.
I wouldn't be surprised if he end up back with the 49ers. Things come full circle.
That's interesting. Good point, Jalen Rose, because they do need a quarterback. Yep. We have a simple motto on this program.
Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
Part of giving people what they want is going to our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. Thank you to everyone that tweeted at us with some questions. We're going to read some of our favorites here. Jalen Rose, the first question we have is from another great supporter of the show, USB Skate. USB Skate wants to know, is it okay to say you're from Detroit, but you're really from the suburbs?
Absolutely. It happens all of the time when people are from a major metropolitan city. Usually, that's the easiest thing to say without having to give an explanation.
Exactly.
Explaining a town that somebody probably hasn't heard of.
Exactly. I'm from Amherst, Massachusetts, and a lot of people say, oh, you're from Boston, right? I'm just like, yeah. It's literally like, it's a 2-hour drive. You know what I mean? I'm just like, sure, whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore. You know? Like, yeah, there you go. I'm from there.
Right. Yep. It just creates a longer conversation.
Yeah, people, where are you from? Like, well, I grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts, and then I moved to New York, and now I live in Los Angeles. Just like, you know what? Like, whatever. I don't even care. I'm from Boston. So whatever you want to say.
Just
I'm
say
from Chicago.
yes, and then keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm from wherever you want me to be from. Whatever you got to say. I don't care. Yep. Scars.
What up, dog?
Dana Scars.
Shout out.
Has a question. Who wins a game of one-on-one? Do-Rag Jalen or Michigan Jalen?
Michigan Jalen was a dog.
Michigan Jalen was skinny. He was fast. Yep.
I'm taking the guy that when they were chanting crack house in Illinois. I'm taking him.
Yep. I'm going to say what I said last time this question was posed. Do-Rag Jalen's he's not losing the games. He's not letting it finish. He's starting to fight. You know what I mean? He's calling fouls. Like, he's going to get down. Game to 7. He's going to get down 6-3, and it's just going to go. It's just going to go. He's going to make Michigan Jalen mad. Michigan Jalen's going to walk off. He's all mad. He's got a chipped tooth. Do-rag Jalen's he's gonna submarine that whole experience.
That's also one of the reasons why I love Nas too, because we both had chipped teeth in common.
This is a great question from one of our biggest supporters, Big Crown. Shout out to Big Crown.
Shout out.
Which sports athletes champagne and campaign harder? NBA, MLB, NFL, or NHL?
Harder.
Good question.
Is a cultural term in a lot of ways. I'm going to take hockey.
I'm going NHL too, and I've got reasons to back this up. Number one, they're low key. They're just wealthy individuals. They're not recognizable. They're not household names. They're just like in shape dudes with crooked noses. So they can kind of like move in silence. So they can go wherever they want. They might party a little differently than say your NBA players, but they party harder. And there's a lot of them. And anyone that watched the Stanley Cup Finals this year, just whatever was happening in Nashville, I wanted to be a part of it. I just wanted to be a part of it. Charles Barkley was hammered. Everyone was hammered. It was just great. Carrie Underwood was hammered. It's just awesome. I'm going NHL on that one. Big shout to Big Crown, one of our favorites.
Shout out.
Tomo wants to know, do you go with comfort or looks for your basketball shoes?
Comfort, no question about it.
Yeah, I don't care what they look like.
3 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, 3 years in college, and 13 years in the league. If you ain't comfortable, it's going to be a problem.
I'm with it. Corey Hall wants to know, when will the NBA eliminate conferences? Who ultimately makes that choice? Does it need to be negotiated in the CBA? I believe it's the competition committee. They always use the competition committee. I love the competition committee. But that's how rule changes happen in the NBA. But when do you think this will happen? Because I feel like it is inevitable.
We talk about a few things on this program that are going to happen. In theory, you don't have to eliminate division winners.
No.
And you don't have to eliminate conferences.
They just become less meaningful.
All you have to do is have open seeding for the playoffs.
Yeah, open seeding for the playoffs.
1 through 16.
And I think, what is it? You play 52 games in your conference and then 30 games outside of your conference. So we're talking about changing it. Basically 11 games of your season need to adjust, if my math is right, which is usually wrong. But if you change 11 games on the schedule so it's all mixed up, you equal opportunity to play every single team in the league, and then you open up the seedings of 1 through 16, you can still have your conferences for the All-Star game. You can still have your divisions for the banners or whatever, those little accomplishments. So I don't think you will eliminate conferences, but there will be 1 through 16 seeding in the NBA playoffs. There has never been a year when it would not be better if it was 1 through 16 seeding in the playoffs. It's just never happened. Let's put the best teams in. Next question we have. This is from Matthias. Matthias, he supports the show. And Matthias works harder on the show than we do.
Shout out.
Why is LeBron either shirtless or wearing a do-rag when he works out? Will he take the do-rag style with him during the season?
I'm pretty sure LeBron watches the program every single day.
He does.
And he also has seen Hoodie Mello.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, you know what? I need to get my alter ego that's off wax and just put him on wax. I'm already a billion-dollar athlete. They can't mess with me now anyway.
Yeah, they can't mess with me. I got a no-trade clause. I'm going wherever I want. What do you make of him visiting a private school in Los Angeles? A lot of people are making a big deal out of this. I was trying to talk about it on the show, and the producer was like, he was just there because he's filming a commercial and happened to be nearby and he wanted to work out. Are we reading too much into him visiting a private school in Los Angeles that potentially his kids could attend?
You're not reading too much into it.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't get as successful as LeBron James without being calculating. And each step, I always see why. And don't underestimate that they have a $20 million home in Brentwood.
Yep.
He sent a tweet this offseason and called California what?
His home. It was a tweet to Jay Crossover and Jamal Crawford, and it said something about playing up in the Seattle Pro-Am. LeBron responded, and he's always calculated. None of this is by mistake. If it was another player, I could just say, oh, he just made a mistake. He was just saying whatever. He said, when I come home, I'll make a trip up there. Okay, so that means the summertime, because the Pro-Am is in the summertime. So he said he'll be home, meaning Los Angeles. And am I reading too much into it by being like, he's saying he'll be in Los Angeles next summer because he will be playing in Los Angeles?
And something funny I got to say, because you know there'll be no LeVar Ball slander on my watch. He was on First Take, and he was like, Of course LeBron coming to L.A. It's already L.A. Bron already. It's L.E. Nobody else caught that. I did.
Because he said he's got LaMelo, LiAngelo, you know, like he should know these things. Lonzo, like he should know these things. Come on.
But he's a LA.
Can I say that
I
have slandered LeVar Ball on this program multiple times on your watch? I just want to put that on wax. I have multiple times.
Well, you slandered Tupac.
Sure did. I've got those are my opinions.
Blasphemous. Reg, slander Cameron.
This is the way I feel. I'm just expressing the way I feel. I know how I feel in my heart. Tupac sounds the same on every track. David Norton asks, will Kyrie have a chance as an MVP this year?
Chance, yes, because he's likely to be the leading scorer on a team that's going to be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. I think Hayward's going to take a lot of buckets away from him, though. If you notice the two people that were true MVP candidates this year, even Kawhi, I'll throw him in there, they were the ball handler, bucket getters on their team, like solely. Jalen, I love your passion. I loved your passion when talking about Odell Beckham Jr. Now, was your passion strictly because it was unprofessional of him to be in a dance-off and be out at the club? I think that had something to do with it. I mainly think it has to do with the fact that you're in an extremely expensive fantasy league and you drafted him first, right? I think that might have something to do with it, too. But because I know that you are very passionate about this topic, I've got some new information for you, Mr. Rose. Odell Beckham Jr., Blake Griffin, Kendall Jenner, Victor Cruz, and some other notables all were invited to a private party at famed nightclub institution in New York City, One Oak.
Shout out.
So not only was he at catching a dance-off, he's also cavorting at One Oak. I have a lot of follow-up questions for you. Number one, I read this report. The owner opened it up, DJ'd with his iPhone, and poured drinks himself. What? Is that fun? Is it fun to be at a nightclub that's just kind of like a house party?
In this instance, actually, yes.
Why is that?
Especially if it's your off-season like Blake and Russell. Because people don't see you coming.
Mm-hmm.
If he was in OKC, obviously that's the big fish, small pond theory. If he was in Cali, hometown kid. Same for Blake in reverse, by the way. Grew up in Oklahoma City, now plays in L.A.
Yep.
But when you're in New York, people are a little surprised to see you initially. Like, oh, I didn't expect to see Blake walking down Fifth Ave. Okay. There's Russell. Okay, got it. So you're a little off the radar. So I understand their ability to go there and have a good time. So I disagree with you. And plus, when the owner opens up the spot and he's pouring drinks and his music playing, it don't have to be too loud where you can't hear each other talk.
Good point.
Like it would be at a club.
It's a great point. The music at clubs is too loud.
So, correct.
Too loud.
Correct. And so, but here's the thing I want to say that can't get lost in this. The reason why Odell Beckham is a celebrity is because he's great at playing football. That drives everything else that happens in your life. Getting a Nike deal, having other famous and celebrity friends that appreciate your work as a football player. And so there's a level of respect you have to have for the game and or for yourself, but even for your teammates, that if you're injured, you're doing everything, spending every moment to do what you can to get back healthy. It almost is like thumbing your nose at the situation when you club hopping, hitting two spots. If you're going to do that, you definitely better be playing on Sunday. I don't care if you out there limping. And if you're not, and you don't have people in your circle and in your locker room that's calling you on it, man, you got to change your circle quick.
What are your plans for this Lions-Giants matchup, which I know is very important to the Jalen Rose household?
I know. It's going to be interesting. Me and Molly was talking about, are we going to have some sort of bet that we do for public consumption? Then we shot that down real quick.
Okay.
That limits the options.
Okay.
No.
So I do anticipate us having a bet that you will know about, that I'll probably intimate on the radio show, won't discuss on the television program.
Shout out.
And if anybody that has any suggestions, feel free to reach out and let me and her know on Twitter what we should be betting this Monday night when the Giants and the Lions face off.
Oh, it's the Monday night game?
Yep.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Oh, interesting. On the network? That's exciting.
Yes.
That's exciting. Jalen Rose, you can hit us up on our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. That is at Jalen and Jacoby. You can also leave us a voicemail, 985-80-JALEN. You call that number, you leave us a voicemail, ask us a question, and we'll play it on the show like this.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. It's Jake from Bloomington, Indiana, home of the Hoosiers. Jalen, I want to know, what is your favorite all-time and current NBA signature move, a la the Dirk fadeaway? And for Jacoby, how important is the minivan stow and go to your life? Thanks.
Jalen, Blake in Indiana wants to know, what is your favorite all-time NBA signature move?
I'm glad that this is a conversation for public consumption, because this is something that I've actually done a couple of times on NBA Countdown, because it's fascinating to me. People don't truly realize how few signature moves exist over the history of basketball.
It's a good point. Because they get plagiarized so quickly if they're good.
Absolutely. And also, I try to tell people, Michael Jordan sticking out his tongue is actually a signature move as well, by the way.
Okay. What I look for is distinctive.
No question about it. So Dirk, one leg, no doubt, but I just want to go through a couple because it's a fun exercise for me. How about George Gervin's finger roll?
I love that. Can I get a Tim Hardaway double crossover?
All-time classic.
Can I get a Tim Hardaway double
Kareem
cross?
Sky Hook.
Yep, that's got to be
that's got to be trademark.
That's got to be it, right?
Is the winner. But how about the Dream Shake? That has to get some honorable mention.
Can I get the Shaquille O'Neal 2 knees up after dunking with 2 hands and hanging on the rim?
Well, that sounds like his statue. It doesn't sound like a signature move.
It's a signature move. He did it all the time. No one else dunks like that.
But definitely, also, here's the thing in working with young people on their games. When you're on the right side of the floor and you're a right-handed player, and this is about to get really technical, but people who love the game and have played the game will understand where I'm going here. So on the right wing, a lot of players that are right-handed don't want to use their left hand to go to the middle and finish.
Great point.
So also a lot of young people use that as a shot so they can't use their left hand.
Yeah.
On the right wing, how many times do you see a right-handed player in today's game drive the ball with their left hand
Kyrie,
from the right side?
It's rare.
Not really often.
No.
What they do is now they shoot the one-leg shot.
I don't play NBA basketball, so I don't have the same experience of breaking that down as you do, but I play old man pickup basketball. Here's the thing, no one uses a left hand. If you're playing pickup, no one has a left hand. It's just no one has one in the world. No one has developed their offhand unless they're professionals. But moving on to the more important question from Blake is the stow and go seating. If you're not familiar with the stow and go seating in the Chrysler models, I'm talking about the Town and Country, which I have. I'm loyal to the Town and Country. I will not move on to the Pacifica until I absolutely have to. But the stow and go seating, the seat disappears. You know how rappers always talk about the roof disappearing? You know what? I talk about the seats disappearing. Your rapper's roof is missing. My seats are missing. I can make a seat for an adult to sit in disappear like I'm David Blaine. It can go away in 5 seconds. It goes right into the floor. You don't even know it was there. I love stow and go seating. Thank you for the question, Blake. Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up, though? This is D from the 405. Thunder up, guys. I got a don't get fired topic of the day today. I'm a son of Mexico, Cuernavaca, Morelos, all the way. And I got a question for y'all, because I'm confused. We all know Jacoby doesn't see race. I don't either. Very proud of where I'm from, and I want everybody else to be proud of where they're from. But I know you guys always talk about the Washington football team changing their logo or their name. The Cleveland team, the Indians also, go ahead and change that mascot. But I'm a little bit confused. I'm brown, from Mexico. Should I be worried about the Cleveland Browns? What's a brown? Can you guys help me with that? What's a brown? I don't know. Is it one of me? Is it referring to my people? Let me know. And if you had to change the name of the Browns, what would it be? All right, guys, let me know. Bye.
And now, the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
I believe, I'm looking it up, the history of the Cleveland Browns. It is the Cleveland Browns, the All-American Football Conference franchise, conducted a fan contest in 1945. They're using Twitter in 1945 to name the team. They're doing user-generated content in 1945. Ahead of the game, the Browns are. The most popular submission was Browns in recognition of the team's first coach and general manager, Paul Brown, who was already a popular figure in Ohio sports. So the Browns are actually named after a dude. And Paul Brown was like, don't put my name on this team. He didn't want it to happen, but they ended up doing it anyway. But why is their mascot like a little fairy with an orange hat?
I actually knew that being from the Midwest. Here's the thing, though, I must point out. We on this program respect everyone. And I appreciate the caller saying, just like you, that he doesn't see color. The one thing about the Cleveland baseball team, the Washington football team, the Atlanta baseball team, I can go on and on about squads. More importantly than myself being offended, as I've gotten older, people who represent heritages that are related to those names are offended. So that makes me feel like, since that offends people and I'm understanding that it's offensive, that I'm not going to use it, period. That's one. Yep. So two, to answer his question, when he was saying, does Brown, in theory, represent his heritage in one way, shape, or form? And you just learned, A, that it doesn't, but B, more important, you weren't offended by it, which I'm happy that now that Jacoby acknowledged exactly what it means, we can continue to celebrate one of the franchises that doesn't have an offensive name. If we were going to change the name of the Cleveland Browns, how about trash?
That's not nice, Jalen. That's not nice. I don't understand why their mascot is like a little elf with an orange hat. I don't know how that came to be. Can we do some research on that, staff? We can get back to the people on that. Because I understand why the name is called the Browns now, but I do not understand why their mascot is a tiny little elf. Not very intimidating.
No, they drafted really
Thanks
well
so much
this
for the call,
year.
D.
They have some great young prospects. Deshaun Kaiser, a rookie quarterback. You know I'm rooting for my guy from Ann Arbor to play well. Hugh Jackson, it's going to be a long season, though. It's going to be a long season.
Long season. Thank you so much for the call, D. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, Jalen. Hey, Jacoby. This is Jeffrey. I'm in Atlanta. Look, I'm a big Monte Ellis fan. I've been rocking with him since, Golden State, around 2011, 2012. The dude's a phenomenal scorer, and I just love his game. And I'm seeing him right now as a free agent. Nobody's picked him up. Can you maybe tell me why this hasn't happened, and what team do you think he would be good, a good fit on? Thanks. Love the show.
That's a great question from Jeff. That's a great question.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. A couple of things. I've talked about this for the last couple of years, and I know people always talk about Reggie, and he does a great job on this program. But Harlan, Barron.
Uh-oh. Whenever you say something nice.
I really want to make sure that going into this NBA season, the approximate 20% of individuals that were on rosters last year that won't be on rosters this year, we put around those 80 names up and roll them like credits. Because job security in the NBA is as fleeing as any industry. And so players like Monte Ellis, while he still is a performer, just look at the dynamics of each year there are 60 players being drafted. 30 of them have guaranteed contracts in the first round, so that means 30 people out automatically. The second rounders, you hope that they can make your team. Maybe half of them make the team. So between 45 and 60 players that were in last year were out this year. It could be contractual as well. You saw it happen with Shabazz Muhammad, who ended up signing with Minnesota because he didn't get a better deal. Tony Allen, who just signed with New Orleans. There are a few players that when you go down that list that were pretty productive last year even, that are still unsigned for those couple of reasons.
Jalen Rose, Brownie the Elf logo is rooted in folklore, where brownies were little elves that would help you with chores around the house if you left them little goodies to eat. Just a little